So today we learned how to factor polynomials with a higher degree. So factor completely means that you have to make sure that even after you factored the first time, that there is not anything left that can still be factored. So numbers 1 through 4, they want us to factor completely. So we're going to look for anything that they have in common. GCF is always what you want to look for first. And in this case, they have a 2. So I'm going to factor out a 2, leaving me with x squared minus 16. Now, you've factored once, now you have to look at what can still be factored. This right here is a difference of 2 squares, what we call dots, difference of 2 squares, and that can still be factored into x plus 4 and x minus 4. So your final answer has to have the 2 in front of it, as well as the x plus 4 and the x minus 4. Number 2, they have a 6 in common. When I factor out a 6, I'm left with z squared minus 4z plus 4. When I look at what I have left over, I can notice that the z squared minus 4z plus 4 can still be factored. Remember, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us 4 and add up to negative 4. I was thinking of the end. And add up to negative 4. So that would be negative 2 times negative 2, because negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. So this ends up becoming z minus 2 and z minus 2 with the 6 in front. On the next one, if you notice, they've got an x in common. All of them have x's, so we're going to factor out an x, leaving us with x squared plus 10x plus 24. Now, this can still be factored. We're looking for two factors of 24 that add up to 10, and that would be 6 and 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and 6 plus 4 is 10. So you have to keep the x in front, and then you're going to have an x plus 6 and an x plus 4. In number 4, they have a 3 in common and an x to the third. They both have 3 x's. So when we factor that out, we're left with x squared minus 64. 192 divided by 3 is 64. This can still be factored because that is dots right here, difference of 2 squares. So this is going to become x plus 8 and x minus 8. You have to keep the 3x to the third in front. Okay, for number 5 and 6, they want us to do the same thing, but this time solve. So we are going to factor out a 2x squared. And when we factor that out, they all have a 2 in common. They all have 2 x's in common. We're going to be left with x squared plus 4x minus 12. Now, at this point, the x squared plus 4x minus 12 can still be factored. You're looking for two factors of negative 12 that add up to 4, and that would be a 6 and negative 2. 6 and negative 2. So this is going to be x plus 6 times x minus 2. Now, because this is equal to 0, we have to set each one of these, including the 2x squared, equal to 0. And we have to find what the solution would be, because we have to go one step further. So when I divide by 2 here, and I take the square root, I have that x is equal to 0. When I subtract 6, I have that x is equal to negative 6. And when I add 2, I have that x is equal to 2. So you have 3 answers for that one. You have 0, negative 6, and positive 2. All right, for number 6, we're going to factor out a 3 and an x, leaving us with x squared plus 4x plus 4. The x squared plus 4x plus 4 could factor into x plus 2 and x plus 2, because 2 times 2 is 4 and 2 plus 2 is 4. So 3x equals 0, making x equal to 0 when you divide by 3. X plus 2 equals 0, and we only have to do that one time because the other one is the exact same. So this one has 2 solutions, 0 and negative 2. Okay, So now we get to sum and difference of cubes. So sum of two cubes and a difference of two cubes. Keeping in mind that we have a formula that you want to follow, okay? When it's the sum of two cubes, you're going to do a plus b. So you take each one of those individually, and then you have to multiply it by a trinomial. And that trinomial is a squared minus ab plus b squared. Okay? So for the sum, you actually use a minus sign. Okay? So in number 8, the actual term that got cubed was an x, and in this one, the 2 got cubed to make an 8. So a is x and b is 2. So if we put that into our formula, we're going to do a plus b, so that would be x plus 2. Okay, that's the first parenthesis. Then we have to do a squared, so x squared. Then we have to do negative, and we have to multiply a times b. So in this case, that's 2 times x. And then we have to do b squared, which 2 times 2, 2 squared, is 4. So this would be your final factored form. In number 9, we had 3 that was cubed, and we had x that was cubed. So 3 cubed got us 27, and x cubed got us x cubed. Over here, 4 cubed gets us 64. So my a value is actually 3x, and my b value is a 4. So when I do a plus b, it's going to be 3x plus 4. When I do a squared, so 3x times 3x, that's going to be equal to 9x squared, minus a times b, so that's going to be 3 times 4, which is 12, and then an x, and then 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, so that would be plus 16. And that would be the factored form. You just have to follow the formula on that one. Okay, for the difference of two cubes, you're going to use a subtraction sign in between the a and the b, because it's a difference, okay? And then over here, it's exactly the same as the sum, except you have a plus instead of a minus. Oh, that's what I see. Sorry. And then plus b squared. Okay? So we're going to do exact same thing. We got to figure out what did I cube to get x cubed. You cubed x. And what did I cube to get 64? You cubed 4. So a is x and b is 4. So when I put that together, this is going to be x minus 4, because it's a difference of cubes. And then it's going to be x squared, and then plus this time, and we multiply a and b, which is 4x. And then plus 4 squared, which is 16. Okay, it's just a matter of substituting into the formula. Okay. All right, for this one, y to the 5th is not a cube. So we actually have to kind of do a combination of what we did up top, which is the GCF. So these have a 2 and a y squared in common. So I'm going to factor that out, leaving me with y to the 3rd minus 343 when I divide 686 by 2. Now, this is a difference of cubes. So my a is actually y, and my b is actually 7, because 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. So we're going to keep our 2y squared out here, and then we're going to do y minus 7, because it's a difference of cubes. And then we have to do y squared plus, we're going to multiply 7 times y, which is 7y. And then we're going to do plus, and we're going to multiply 7 squared, which is 49. So all of this would be your final answer. And we are done.